I've said it before and I'll say it again. Canadians are the second most propagandized people on earth right after North Korea. You know what? They might even be more propagandized than North Korea, because I think in North Korea, they know that they are being propagandized. Viva Frei, former Montreal litigator turned current Florida rumbler, in my home office on a beautiful Florida day. Every day is beautiful in Florida, people. What can I say? This news coming out of Canada, if you haven't heard about it yet, you're going to hear about it, because when Viva gets interested in something, everybody's going to hear about it. There are so many tyrannical laws coming out of Canada, being proposed in Canada, that you sometimes lose track. There was this one called Bill C-2, the border bill, which I don't think has passed yet, but the discussion surrounding that border bill, it gave the government the authorization to open up your mail without a warrant, to look on your phones and check your electronic devices without a warrant. It basically gave the state, total police state, under the guise of protecting the border. Well, there's a new bill that is being proposed and debated in Canada. This one's called Bill C-8, and we will see if the so-called conservatives, or the so-called leader of the so-called opposition of the so-called conservative party, is going to object to this. If you thought Bill C-2 was bad, apparently, from what I understand, Bill C-8 is Bill C-2 on Canadian steroids, eh? A tweet from Mario Zelaya, at Mario for the North, and I'll play this video in its entirety at the end of this vlog if I get permission from Mario, which I think I will because he's a great guy. Bill C-8, the liberal internet censorship bill. If this goes through, I'll be offline and probably in a jail cell the day after it passes. No trial, no warrant, and no police. Liberals can do whatever they want. Insane. As you will see from Mario's video at the end of this vlog, basically this law allows members of parliament, basically government officials, to kick anyone they want off the internet with no judicial oversight under the guise of protecting the internet or avoiding, I don't know, protection of democracy, whatever the hell they want to call it. There are a few provisions of this proposed bill, which I'm going to look over now, which have been highlighted, and I'm going to go over right now just to flesh out how bad it is. And in America, if you say, oh, it's only Canada, you should look up north and see what might be trickling down, because that thing about communism trickling down, it might have been an excuse to get into Vietnam, but it might also be somewhat more accurate than people like to think. First session, 45th Parliament, 3 Charles III, 2025. House of Commons of Canada. Bill C-8, an act respecting cybersecurity, amending the Telecommunications Act, and making consequential amendments to other acts. Summary, and I'm gonna have to do it in my regular voice because this is hurting my throat. Part 1 amends the Telecommunications Act to add the promotion of the security of the Canadian telecommunications system as an objective of the Canadian telecommunications policy, and to authorize the Governor in Council and the Minister of Industry to direct telecommunications service providers to do anything or refrain from doing anything that is necessary to secure the Canadian telecommunications system. It also establishes an administrative monetary penalty scheme to promote compliance with orders and regulations made by the Governor in Council and the Minister of Industry to secure the Canadian telecommunications system, as well as rules for judicial review of those orders and regulations. Part 2 enacts the Critical Cyber Systems Protection Act to provide a framework for the protection of the critical cyber systems and services and systems that are vital to national security or public safety, and that are delivered or operated as part of a work, undertaking, or business that is within the legislative authority of Parliament. It also, among other things, authorizes the Governor and Council to designate any service or system as a vital service or vital system, authorizes the Governor and Council to establish classes of operators in respect of a vital service or vital system, requires designated operators to, among other things, establish and implement cybersecurity programs, mitigate supply chain and third-party risks, report cybersecurity incidents, and comply with cybersecurity directions, provides for the exchange of information between relevant parties, and authorizes the enforcement of the obligations under the Act, and imposes consequences for non-compliance. Oh boy, so it empowers telecommunication providers to do anything or not do anything that the government asks it to do. What could possibly go wrong? Let's look at the actual provisions of this proposed bill. Section 15.2, paragraph 1. If there are reasonable grounds to believe that it is necessary to do so to secure the Canadian telecommunications system against any threat, including that of interference, manipulation, disruption, or degradation, the minister may, by order and after consultation with the Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness and with the persons the minister considers appropriate, A, prohibit a telecommunications service provider from providing any service to any specified person, including a telecommunications service provider, and B, direct any telecommunications service provider to suspend providing for a specified period any service to any specified person, including a telecommunications service provider. As far as I understand this, no court, no oversight, no transparency, just some government members deciding if there's a risk of manipulation or degradation, they get to cut off internet service provider to any specified person. This literally would give the government control over the internet as relates to any individual with no judicial oversight, just basically little Kim Jong-uns running around around Canada, cutting off internet to people they think are manipulating the interwebs. And as the meme goes, but wait, there's more.
But wait! There's more!
Non-disclosure. The order may also include a provision prohibiting the disclosure of its existence or some or all of its contents by any person. So you know, like when they order publication bans in trials of the utmost of political importance, or when they order publication bans in the trials of things that are extremely embarrassing to the government, they can basically say non-disclosure on anything related to this if we so choose, and the public will have no idea what the hell is going on. Us little Kim Jong-uns running around Canada, doing whatever the hell we want in the dead of night and issuing non-disclosure so that nobody can know what the hell we're doing in the dead of night. I gotta tell you, I think Kim Jong-un is sitting there taking notes at what the liberals are doing in Canada. But don't worry, they call themselves liberals, right? So they can't possibly be the fascistic tyrants that they actually are because they call themselves liberals. But wait, I'm getting tired of saying it. You know where this is going. Paragraph 15.4. The minister may require any person to provide to the minister or any person designated by the minister within any time and subject to any conditions that the minister may specify any information that the minister believes on reasonable grounds is relevant for the purpose of making, amending, or revoking an order under section 15.1 or 15.2 or a regulation under paragraph 15.81a or of verifying compliance or preventing non-compliance with such an order or regulation. Could you imagine anything more vague, far-reaching that grants the government basically unlimited power? The only question here is going to be whether or not the so-called conservatives actually oppose this piece of legislation, because like the ring from Lord of the Rings, they might be looking at this and saying, "Ooh, my precious, one day I shall hold your power too, and I might want this power in the future." Like Aaron O'Toole's conservatives did, I think it was with Bill C-11, the Online Streaming Act. I might be wrong on the act itself, but they say, when we get into power, we're going to repeal this act. And I'm on Twitter saying, this isn't yet in law. How about you guys just be actual conservatives and oppose the passing of the law instead of promising to repeal it if it passes when you guys get into power, which you won't get into power because you suck. So yeah, this will be something of a litmus test for the so-called Conservative Party of Canada, although they failed each and every litmus test, with Pierre Poilievre staying silent when Tamara Leach and Chris Barber were persecuted, when they were facing 7 and 8 years respectively in prison, silence. When a reporter was beaten and arrested in Montreal, silence until you know he had to say something because it got sufficient traction in social media that he found his courage to say something about a woman reporter being beaten and arrested by Montreal police. Silence on the Universal Ostrich Farm out of Edgewood, British Columbia. I have been hounding Pierre Poilievre for a week to say something, but that coward will find his courage after they have been saved, or after they've been killed, or after it becomes too politically popular to avoid saying something, right, Pierre? And I almost forgot to read my own tweet on the subject in response to Mario Zelaya's tweet, Viva Frei at the Viva Frei, quote, "Viva, why do you care so much about the ostriches," end quote. Because it starts with the ostriches, then goes to cattle, then maybe goes to your dog who came home with a dead bird. It started with freezing bank accounts during the trucker convoy. And now it will go to denying access to the internet. We know the liberals are the tyrant. The question is going to be whether or not the conservatives go along with it. Something to follow and something to put on absolute blast after we save the ostriches. And if past is prologue, the CPC_HQ are going to do jack squat. Heck, they might even like the prospect of being able to wield that power should they ever win another election. This proposed bill is madness, but it's nothing new in Canada. It's actually just par for the course. And you probably got a lot of Canadians out there saying, well, it's probably very necessary, to protect us because we don't want to look like America, So come on in, open our mail, check our cell phones, cut us off from the internet if you think we're manipulating the interwebs. It's for the greater good, The greater good. The desecration of individual rights for the greater good is not the greater good. That's called tyranny. And if you're still watching and you haven't subscribed, you know what to do. Turn on notifications, drop a comment in the comment section below because it feeds the algorithm. Share my stuff with people who you think might like it, but share it with people who you know would not like it because they need to see it the most. But that's what's going on in Canada. More of the same, and it's all bad. Bill C-8 and Viva is officially on it, so it might get a little loud and there might be a few F-bombs dropped on Twitter, but now you know what's going on in Canada. If you like what I do, you know what to do. Most importantly, exercise, eat healthy, sunlight, talk to people in real life. You know what to do, and now enjoy Mario Zelaya's analysis of the situation and give him a follow on Twitter. Peace out, peeps. Booyah.
Liberals are proposing a law where a minister can ban me from the internet, my internet service provider ban me from the internet, and neither of us be able to say anything about it. So Matt Strauss, who's a doctor and a physician and also a member of parliament, said that you need to be concerned about Bill C-8. It allows Melanie Joly to kick anyone off the internet with no trial and no warrant. Worse off, you won't be able to allow to say that you've even been kicked off. And this is the Emergencies Measures Act on steroids, only permanent and secret. Watch this. Minister's order, if there are reasonable grounds to believe that it is necessary to do so to secure the Canadian telecommunication system against any threat, including that of interference, manipulation, disruption, degradation, the minister may, by order and after consultation with the Minister of Public Safety, prohibit a telecommunications service provider from providing any service to any specified person, including telecommunications service provider. The order may also include a provision prohibiting the disclosure of its existence or some or all of its contents by any person. This is crazy. The minister may require any person to provide to the minister or any person designated by the minister, meaning she's able to designate whoever the heck she wants, within any time and any subject to any conditions that the minister may specify. Any information that the minister believes on reasonable grounds is relevant for the purpose of making, amending, or revoking an order under Section 15. This is insane. We're not talking about the police. We're not talking about the RCMP. This is a minister that will have the sole power to kick you off the internet at their will, then ban you or anyone else from being able to speak on this. If the Conservatives did this, there would be an uproar all over the media, all over the world. They would call them a dictatorship. They would call them communists. They would say this is Nazi-like. They would throw every single word possible against them. But the Liberals are doing this and now everyone's quiet. People have to speak up. I promise you, if this bill goes through, it's going to be ugly for everyone. And if I get kicked off, I'm going to break that ban. I'm telling you right now, yes, I don't care if it becomes law and I'm not supposed to talk about it. I will talk about it. I will let the world know that a totalitarian state, a communist state of the Liberal Party, is trying to silence its people at its discretion. Not the police, but the government. Ridiculous.